It was good to say hello to an old friend. Hello and welcome to yet another episode of the Euroman Movie Report. This week I'm going to talk about the recently released Jack Ryan Shadow Recruit. Jack Ryan Shadow Recruit is of course an attempt to reboot the Tom Clancy Jack Ryan character, which we have seen on the big screen before, portrayed by Alec Baldwin, Harrison Ford, Ben Affleck, and the previously mentioned Ben Affleck portrayal was very disastrous, and in many ways the best portrayal of the Jack Ryan character, in my opinion, is by Harrison Ford. And but anyway, now we have Chris Pine attempting to portray the Jack Ryan character. But the movie here, Jack Ryan Shadow Recruit, isn't a Tom Clancy script in any ways, except if you look at that they have extracted some elements from the Jack Ryan universe, or the Ryanverse as some call it, like the William Harper character, Jack Ryan, Jack Ryan's wife, and some of Jack Ryan's backstory, and catapulted this into the 21st century. Because as the people who have read the Ryanverse books, they know that the Jack Ryan universe takes place from the 1970s up until 2010, if I remember correctly. But this version of the Ryanverse, the reboot, is set in the 21st century, and now we have a new, young Jack Ryan. And the movie begins with that Jack Ryan is studying economics in London, and then the 9/11 terror attacks happen, and then we fast forward to 2003, where the Jack Ryan character has joined the Marines, and when we have an event which is also mentioned in the original Jack Ryan books, that Jack Ryan is shot down, he's in a helicopter and is critically injured, and then has to leave the Marines, and then he goes into rehabilitation back home in America to learn to walk, and there he's recruited by the CIA. And here is where the story differs, because we have the character who recruits Jack Ryan in the original story is the Admiral Greer character, portrayed in the old movies by James Earl Jones. But here we have the William Harper character, portrayed by Kevin Costner. And the William Harper character is from the Tom Clancy novel Without Remorse. But the strange thing here is that the William Harper character is the character who recruits one of Jack Ryan's friends, John Kelly or John Clark, into the CIA, and then it'll be interesting to see if the Without Remorse movie is made. Maybe they will have the John Kelly character be recruited into the CIA by a rebooted version of the Admiral Greer character, but I guess we will only get to know that if the Without Remorse movie is made or not. And that all depends, I guess, if this Jack Ryan Shadow Recruit makes enough money. But anyway, then he of course meets his wife, Jack Ryan, Chris Pine. He meets his wife at Walter Reed Medical Center, where he's learning to walk again. And then, as I said, he's approached by William Harper, the Kevin Costner character, to be recruited into the CIA. And when we fast forward another 10 years, and then like in the original Ryanverse, the Jack Ryan has become a business and analyst, and then he stumbles on a plot, as we know from the trailer, that some crazy Russian wants to crash the world economy, and then things go sour when Jack Ryan goes to Moscow, and then he of course has to save the world like an American James Bond. But this movie is based upon a script from 2010 called Dubai, if I remember correctly, and they rewrote it so that the terrorists, originally the terrorists in the Dubai script were from the Middle East, but then they changed them into Russians. And the terrorist in this version of the script, or as I said in the movie, is played by Kenneth Branagh, who also directs the film, and he does a fairly good job in my opinion. So, but if you can look past the inconsistencies in the story, like, and here's a spoiler for those who haven't seen the film, is that the Kenneth Branagh character, the tycoon, who is, we learn, is subservient to the Russian government, he has his main drive to do what he wants to do is to protect, or in memory of his son. But what I don't get about the script is that we learn that the son is supposedly we learn that Kenneth Branagh's character believes, in some way we are led to believe that he believes his son died when he was a kid, but then the son has been turned into this suicide terrorist, and in some ways the whole plot, in my opinion, falls apart, because if he wanted to hurt the US because of his son, why did he then have the PTBs, the powers that be, use his son to commit this terrorist attack? I don't get that, and that was a bit weird in my opinion, why they chose to go down that route. But I haven't read the original Dubai script, but I guess if in the script, maybe that whole plot line would have made more sense. But this Jack Ryan story is of course supposed to function as a prequel to if the Without Remorse story is ever made. But I guess we will only get to see that down the road, because it hasn't been officially begun production on Without Remorse, from what I have been able to find out. But anyway, Jack Ryan's girlfriend slash future wife, Dr. Muller, is played by Keira Knightley, and Keira Knightley's accent is a bit weird in my opinion, but she does an okay job as well, and so does the other characters in the minor roles. But is this a good movie? Well, it all depends. If you are familiar with the Ryan-verse, then you would, in my opinion, I feel that way, is that it's a bit of a shame that we didn't get to see the proper interpretation of the Ryan-verse. But I guess no one wants to watch a movie which takes place in the 1980s, I guess. But it's a bit of a shame, because Tom Clancy's writing, his stories were good in my opinion, and it would have been cool to see a movie taking place during the Cold War. And we have seen, for instance, that Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, which takes place during the Cold War, did somewhat well in theaters, but I guess no major American production company wants to put their money behind a movie which takes place in a decade most people don't remember anymore. But anyway, but if I'm gonna sum it up, the acting, the story, the action, it's fairly okay, and it runs from okay to mediocre at some points of the film, in my opinion. But it is well choreographed, and I'm somewhat satisfied with the stories, and I don't feel I wasted my money for buying a ticket for this film. So if I'm gonna rate it, yeah, it's a bit hard to rate, but I would say 3 out of 5 Coca-Cola bottles. So that's it, Euroman of Euroman's Movie Report signing off, and I'll see you in the next movie review. Bye for now.